Hi guys, so welcome to this week's episode. This week's episode is with a company called Hunters of Colour. Now, I can't give these guys enough justice for what they're doing in this intro. I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I really can't. This company is a really interesting company who help people from any background, if they want to get into hunting, get into hunting. Now, this company's in America, but personally I think there should be somebody in the UK doing the same thing. Basque used to, with their young shots, and that's sort of the closest thing we got to. But I know for a fact that if you used to scale the cities and the towns, you would find more, and possibly we'd have less gun crime if some people had a bit more sense, a bit know what to do and where to go. Who knows? But before we start in the episode, I just want to say a few words for this week's sponsors. So first of all, Steady Shooting. Sam's been great with me. We've got a few projects on the go, and Sam has to endure some phone calls from me going, "Oh Sam, I'm thinking about doing this," or "Sam, I'm thinking about doing that." So if you want to go and do something different, or you're looking for a day shooting, go and tap him up, mention my name, I'm sure he'll look after you. Secondly is a company called V Tactical. V Tactical have looked after me with certain things. Again, I ring them up and go, "Lads, can you make?" And do you know what? They usually come through higher than expectations. So if you want something a little bit different for shooting, a bit for hunting, anything like that, then go check them out on Instagram. That's V Tactical. And then of course there's the podcast itself. So my little podcast doesn't run about you guys, so I've got a little bit of merchandise. Send us a message, it's all on Instagram. Check it out, t-shirts, gun slips, that sort of thing, and support the show. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and I wait for the comments.
Kick off your boots and put down your hunting knife. It's time for the Outdoor Man Podcast with the man himself, Outdoor Man Dan. Join us for fun stories, useful how-tos, and insights into what being an outdoorsman means today and what it may mean in the future. From ethical hunting and conservation to new stories to tell around the fire. Let's get into today's show with your host, Outdoor Man Dan.
So my name is Jimmy Flatt, and I am a founder of a nonprofit organization here in the United States called Hunters of Colour. We started roughly, I think it's about 10 months now. We started with the goal of bringing the demographics of the United States, or the hunting demographics of the United States, closer to that of the demographics of hunting and whatever. So as it stands, well, since 2016, there was a study that came out by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that had the demographics of hunting at 97% white, and then the other 3% were other races. And in 2016, the census had the U.S. at, I think it was 67% white, and then the rest was other races. And so there was a huge incongruency, and when I saw that study, I immediately wanted to do something about it. Growing up, out hunting, I always realized that I was only brown face out with the crowd. And so in 2016, I realized that my observation was actually founded by and backed up by science. So that's when I started mulling over ideas. At first, I wanted to do some outreach to urban youth and get kids out who never had like the experience to be outside. But then it quickly grew into helping everybody out, because I realized that it's not just youth that need it. It's pretty much everybody who has been detached from their hunting heritage here in the United States. And it started off like, first I wanted to do a shirt company, and then we rapidly found out that we needed to do more than just shirts, and we needed to do like true outreach and become a nonprofit. And we've rapidly grown since. We've partnered with, I think we're up to 8 state agencies that are helping us out right now across the nation. And we're planning events in each one of those states. we're located out of Oregon, so most of our programming is happening on the west coast of the United States, Oregon, California, and Washington. But we're quickly expanding, so we'll be in Colorado, New Mexico, New York, and Minnesota by the end of the year.
World domination.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on with when you go off and do these things? What's the idea? What you actually doing when you get there? So far as to come along.
Yeah, so there's two kind of events. We have kind of a field to fork programs where you come out and you basically get the whole rundown. You get the safety in the beginning. You go over ethics in like a kind of a classroom setting. Then you do your field training, which is just knowing how to operate your weapon of choice. So if let's say it's a shotgun event with we're going pheasant hunting. We'll do a safety briefing. We'll go over some hunting ethics and just make sure everybody's on the same page. And this can happen could happen in one day, or it could happen over a series of like a long weekend. And so we start off with safety and ethics, then we go to we'll go to live fire, so getting people on clays and making sure that they know how to operate a shotgun. And then from there, we'll go out into the field and hunt. Hopefully, we'll have some success. And then from there, we'll show people how to process birds. And then usually the place that we go to is a place that's accessible for the public, so that they can return there and try to replicate it. Then we also have a more personal program set up where it's like a mentorship program. And this program takes place, it's very slow to come to fruition, but it builds a better foundation and it builds up on itself. And so we do start off with like the same kind of safety training. Then we do group events where we'll go out and shoot, and then we'll kind of pair people up and figure out who's starting to get along. And then from there, we'll do bigger hunts. And then at that point, we ask them to figure out if they want to do hunts on their own with their mentors. And then we kind of facilitate doing more events with the mentors and the mentees as we develop this program. And so we've done, in Oregon alone, I think, 4 different events that are kind of on the mentorship side. But now we're partnered with the state agency, so we'll be doing more field to fork type programs here in the coming year.
Big response, good and a good response as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had great feedback from the mentees. They're saying this is helping a bunch. We wish we would have had this one-on-one kind of help when we first started getting interested into hunting. And I think we're really accelerating the learning curve and kind of just forcing people to dive in head first and take a chance. And I feel like they feel comfortable with a group that's dedicated for people of color.
That's it. I mean, it's like, it's a case of, if you've not had it, like for me, it's been a journey for me from being born, because in the UK, my dad's a gamekeeper, so shooting and everything it's just come with the territory. So I learnt the gun safety, and I got the smack behind the ear when I was little, and I got the catapult took off me when I smacked the chicken running down the road, and stuff like that. Whereas if you're coming into it late, or later than that, you need that one-on-one, gives you that sort of father-son, father-daughter, or mother-son, mother-daughter bond, and you then learn the technique and how to stalk or how to shoot, or this is what I would do if this happened, rather than blundering into it and having an accident yourself, or getting disheartened from not catching or getting your quarry.
Yeah,
I think it's fabulous.
It's a similar background where my father was a Marine. He was in the military, and while he was in the military, he was a game warden on one of the military bases. And he wasn't a hunter himself before this, but he developed the skills as a game warden to be a hunter. And growing up,
comes with the territory, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing where we grew up shooting, we grew up fishing and tracking and doing all the things. And my foundation was built up since I was a little kid. And it wasn't until I started hunting on my own and trying to find my own community that I started to have these observations of, oh, well, he's got everybody I hunt with is white.
Yeah.
And
I suppose it's a big observation that as well, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody looks for community.
So what's next? So you've got some more. So you're growing. So you got more events this year. What else you got going on? What's for world domination? How are you going to achieve your world domination?
Well, so we'd like to see ourselves in all 50 states by the end of the 5th year. So we got another 4 years and 2 months to get into all 50 states. We've had actually a lot of outreach from state agencies, and right now we're full-time. Well, Lydia, our executive director, is on this full-time. I work another full-time job just to keep the bills paid. Yeah. And hopefully once we start getting funding, we can put more man hours into this and start bringing on more states and start doing programming in more of these states. And we've got classroom curriculums that we're working on to teach elementary school kids here in the United States. So like the plan with that is to really create hunting advocates and people who are educated on where meat comes from, so that even if they don't decide to be hunters later on in life, that they're at least advocates and understand why we hunt and why hunting is necessary in some situations.
100%. I've said this, and this is why I started my podcast, was I don't care if you're for it or against it, at least know why we do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I know the laws are a bit different from us to you and quarry numbers and all that, but I like to eat rabbit. I like to eat, venison, and wild venison tastes better than farm venison, and people just need to understand what the conservation behind it is as well, and it's such a big thing, and I really commend you on it, because you've got an uphill battle.
Yeah.
A massive uphill battle.
Yeah, the United States is filled with anti-hunting sentiment, and we consume a ton of meat.
Yeah.
And
people are happy to eat that chicken that's reared in that shed, but as soon as you said I've shot Bambi, it's like the world's going to end. And you're like, there's no difference here apart from that deer has had a life, and that chicken knows piss all about life and has been pumped full of drugs.
Yep.
And it breaks me. It absolutely breaks me.
Yeah. So there's an educator, and she's now at Yellowstone, and previously to that, she was teaching a class in Colorado, and one of the last questions she asked her class of 6th graders, and she had never done any hunting education in her class. What do you think what would you like to see the future look like? And there was, I think, 7 or 8 different responses where the kids said, we don't want hunting, and we want animals to be treated better. And so if somehow hunting and poor animal treatment got lumped together, even though she had not taught about it. And so that's when she approached us and was like, hey, we should work together to create this curriculum so that we can kind of veer kids away from thinking that hunting is bad.
Yeah.
And create advocates for hunting in the future. And it all comes down to a vote. We want people voting for hunting rights. We don't want our hunting rights to be stripped. So we create...
I think some of your trouble over there, and it's only from a sort of over the sea sort of perspective, is your gun laws are so loose. Is that, I think a lot of that would, if that was a bit tighter, that would probably give you, it would probably make things a little bit more streamlined, because you've got everyone with a gun doing this, that and the other, and it's never the good things that are put in the press. It's always, Mr. Jones done this, and then it's slapped across the news. Where if you had a little bit more, don't get me wrong, I love your gun laws. I think they're great, because it's so hard for us to get firearms in the UK. But I think a few corners just tightened up, and your path would be so much more streamlined. It's unreal. I might be wrong. That's only from what I've seen and heard, and and everything else. I mean, trust me, I don't want to see your gun laws get any tighter, because I just think it's absolutely awesome that you can go to a shop and buy what the hell you like to a certain degree. Where we have to go to the police, we have to register what we want it for, how many bullets we're going to use, and it just gets complicated.
Yeah, we've taken a organizational stand where we are requiring hunter safety to be done, and there's some states in the United States that don't require you to do anything in order to get a hunting license after you're 18, and that poses an issue for us, because just knowing the basics of make sure you don't walk around the field you're gun loaded and pointing the barrel at people. Something simple as that. Like, if you don't have the formal training, then it's just something you don't think about while you're out there. And so we're mandating it.
That comes down again, though, to the one-on-one. You know, like if I tried to cross a fence with my gun loaded, I'd probably have the gun took off me and wrapped around me. You know, and that's where it comes to that one-on-one. That person, hang on a minute, you haven't done this. Break the gun, take the cartridge out, jump over the fence. You know, it's 10 seconds, isn't it? Out, over, back in, clonk, away you go. And you're 100% right. The education is needed everywhere. It really is. And that one, I love the idea of the one-to-one. We should have more of that in the UK. Well, I was saying that when I was at college, we'd done I had to do a course to go. You didn't have to do it to go lamping, but it was one of them things where some people someone had shot his son when they're out shooting rabbits at night with a spotlight and stuff like that. So they the British Association of Shooting and Conservation put a course together for keepers to go and do, to say that you were competent in doing it. But it's not the law, but I think it should be done. I totally agree, because quarry not being seen and the wrong quarry being shot and something, and it's always that ends up in the paper. It's never the good job where 2 deer are stuck together and 3 blokes go and cut the wire or whatever is off the antlers so they can be free. It's always he shot something he shouldn't be shooting or something like that, and it should be done. It really, really should. So what do you do you prefer to shoot with rifle, shotgun, bow? What is your
so I mean, I do it all, but I've really gravitated towards archery in the last, how old am I? 25. Last 7 or 8 years. On my 18th birthday, so naive 18-year-old Jimmy wanted a AR-15 as an 18-year-old because I could get it at that point.
As you do.
Yeah, and so my mom was not about it at all, and was like, "You're not getting that." And so on my 18th birthday, they brought me down to an archery shop, and they gave me it was like a $300 spending limit, which is nothing when it comes to archery. So I walked out of the shop with the cheapest bow I could find, like full-length arrows that were completely too long for my draw length, and then a couple really crappy broadheads, bad release, but it got me in the field. And it took me. I made a vow to so the next day it was turkey season opener. I went out and I had a turkey at like 10 yards, and I shot the arrow just completely sailed over it. And then I got another one into like 15 yards, and then it sailed completely over it again. And on the third shot, I was on my last broadhead. I had one at like 20 yards. That's where I had sighted in my bow at. And it completely sailed like another 10 feet over its head. I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? My pin was right on the bird. And I found out that you got to tune your bow. You gotta get your arrow set up, and you got to figure out you got to go through like the process of getting your bow going. It's not kind of like a off the shelf thing like a rifle or shotgun is. And so I made a vow to myself that I wouldn't pick up a shotgun or a rifle until I got my first kill with a bow. And it took me 3 years.
Did it?
Yeah. And I had so many opportunities, but that learning curve was really hard and long for me, because I had no mentors to teach me the art of archery. And So 3 years down the line, I ended up getting a couple turkeys. Once it clicked, and then I got a couple deer, and I'm still on my elk hunting journey. I've had the last 4 years since I've been doing over the counter here in Oregon. I've had 4 elk within 25 yards, and have not been able to let an arrow fly just because there's either a branch in front of their vitals, they wind me, or it's just too thick to see where they're at. So
yeah, something always goes wrong.
Yeah.
I've got a bow myself. We can't hunt with them in the UK.
Oh man.
We can't even bow fish with them, which is what I want to do.
Oh man.
So I've got a bow come in, and I'm still learning. I've learned the hard way, same as you, learned the hard way. And I've just got rid of that bow I had, and I'm waiting for another one to come from the US at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got about another 3 weeks to wait for it. It'll be here. It was on a 12-week waiting list.
Oh wow.
But when I get it, it'll be then a case of I'll have to sort of go somewhere and learn, the arrows and everything, because the same as you, I just sort of picked that one. Yeah, this will do. And there's arrows going everywhere, but apart from where I want them to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise it was such an art to that. But I want to get it right now because I've been invited to Alabama bow fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get it right when I go over there, and then I can just pick the bow up and do,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm really into it. That's not probably just not my thing. But I done a podcast with Robbie from Blood Origins.
Okay. Yeah.
And I said this to him. I said, I'm not really sure it's my sort of thing, really. He went, well, have you done it? I went, no. He said, how do you know? You can have a go. I went, do you know, that's a fair point. But I do like the art. You've actually got to you've got to get them in. You've got to be quiet. You've got to be on the money. And I like the idea of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that can go wrong, but I do like the art of that, and I can see where you're coming from. So what's on the bucket list then? So you said you haven't got your elk yet. What else?
So elk, I'd like to do a trip up to British Columbia, and get either a moose or a mountain goat up there.
Can you buy all them off the counter?
I'm not sure about the regulations. I haven't really looked into it. That's kind of I'm saving up for that hunt because it'll be a pretty penny.
Yeah.
But I want to do so. Part of going up to British Columbia, I've seen these trips where they get dropped off on these lakes, and then they take the streams back down to where they get picked up. And so I want to raft through the territory and then have a backpack on my back, and if I see something up in the mountains, just go trekking after it.
Yeah, again, proper jealous because it's so different over here. We've got so much game and quarry in the UK, and it's all private as well. So if I want to go and shoot, a stag, then I've just got to pay whatever or do some dodgy deal with someone to be able to go and shoot a stag or whatever.
Yeah.
And the idea of being able to go out and camp and hunt and do appeals to me like 10,000 times more than just being able to go and pay. We've got a thing out here called the McNab where you can like catch a salmon, try and catch a salmon, shoot a grace and a stag, or a ptarmigan and a stag, or whatever, how it works. Anyway, 3 things in one day in 24 hours. And people don't do it, and people fail at it, but it can be done. And that just proves really the amount of quarry that we've got in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's such a different world. We're not, it's not a million miles away, from us to you, but yet the concept and everything else is so different. And, I really would like the fact that I'd like to be able to go and camp and hunt properly and do. That really appeals to me. And it's more ethical. Well, I say it's more ethical, that'd be a lie, because if we don't stalk a deer here, because we've got the numbers, then we'd have big crop damage. And actually on the estate where I'm staying at the moment, they were talking about how much the red deer are doing crop damage at the moment. So it needs to be done, but it's just not me, I suppose, is the thing.
Yeah. I'd also like to I've seen pictures of people hunting. Well, red stag I'd love to get, but I think I'll probably end up going to New Zealand for that.
Yeah.
And then I've seen
Weather-wise,
people.
there's not much difference.
Yeah.
You're pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'd like to also go to England, and you guys have some rams there that are incredibly big. I think they're maybe Marco Polo rams.
Yeah,
I forget-
I haven't. Yeah, I know what you mean. I haven't seen them, but I know what you mean. I think is it Wales are in round, or maybe Scotland? I don't know, one or two.
Yeah,
Or
somewhere
maybe
up
on the
there.
islands.
I mean, it'd be awesome to go there because I did my DNA test, and part of my heritage is from that area too, and so got some Irish blood in me. I think
Okay.
a lot of Americans do.
Yeah, yeah.
But
What else does DNA say? Where else are you from then? Where else?
man, you look at my map, it's like all over the place. But my mom's family's from Venezuela, and my dad's family is from the Pacific Islands, just off like the Philippines. And so that you get like from my Venezuelan side, you get the Spanish influence, and then the African influence, and then the Native American, or I guess indigenous blood that was down there. So it's like Andean, indigenous, and then my dad's side, it's basically Irish and the Philippines area.
Okay.
So yeah, big mix. And
Yeah, hell of a mix.
yeah. But yeah, so here in the United States, I mean, I'd love to go over to my grandpa's property in South Carolina and get a whitetail there before he is no longer with us. And he always pushed me into getting into hunting because I forget what he did when he was younger, but he would always hunt, and it was very important to him that his grandchildren knew how to be self-reliant and be able to get meat on the table if they needed to. And
Is that something that's becoming more abundant in the US as people want to become more self-sufficient?
Yeah,
I've sort of gathered that sort of happening. You see things on the news, or meat eaters has got. You watch a lot of meat eaters or listen to the podcast. That's a lot of sort of things they talk about. You think, yeah, hang on a minute, I can see this pattern turning up.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah. Yes, that's it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, most Americans who are looking into hunting, they see it as an ethical way to procure meat, and some see it as a way to reconnect to their roots. I mean, there's a plethora of reasons why people want to get into it now, but it's amazing to see that people are reaching out and want to get into it, because when we have a more diverse hunting basis and we have more people voting on these issues, we'll have a more diverse range of thoughts, and we'll have people coming from it at different angles, and I think we'll be more effective at solving some of the issues that we have. Like, for instance, here in Oregon, we have a mountain lion issue. The mountain lions, it's like, I think we have, I don't want to put a number on it, but we have more mountain lions per square mile than I think it's like all the western states combined.
Really?
Just because we stopped letting people run hounds in like I think it was the late 90s. And since then, the mountain lion population has skyrocketed, and then you see the decline in the elk and deer population. And so they're directly related. And now we have wolves coming into the eastern side of the state, and now you're seeing impacts on that end. And so we have issues to tackle, and having a more diverse basis voting on these and having a word at the table is just going to make the hunting community better, and we'll solve issues.
You've got to stand up and shout, otherwise you end up in the situation we are in the UK. And when the hunting ban came in with dogs, the fishing community went, well, it's not with us, we fish. And the shooting fraternity went, well, it's not really us, we shoot. And nobody, and then when it came in, like, well, this is what we want, and nobody actually stood together and went, well, hang on a minute, we're all one here. And now each sort of department in the countryside is now suffering in their own way because we weren't together. and if it doesn't, if it doesn't happen over there, the same thing will happen. Happen the same as us, and you're pissing into the wind big time.
Yeah. We're trying to give a voice to communities that have been, systemically removed from the scene for a long time. The history of the United States starts off with the removal of the indigenous people from their ancestral hunting land. So you go from there and you make it to 2021, and we have a table that's comprised of entirely white people. We just want to make it more inclusive for everybody. We want no one to think that there are barriers to entry that will prevent them from going out based on their ethnicity, their race, their whatever.
Which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be.
Yeah,
And,
hunting is a human thing.
Yeah.
And as long as you're human, I believe you have a seat at the table. You have a spot in my camp, and there's a spot in the outdoor industry and in the community for you. So, that's our main mission. So it's just to break down all barriers to entry, whatever they may be, and help people figure out how to get into hunting and reclaim their ancestral hunting heritage, or whatever they're looking for, procure meat. It's a very spiritual thing once you get into it, and
and costly.
Yeah, very costly. So we're breaking down cost barriers by working with different companies here in the United States. We're like First Light, for instance. We're on the verge of making a deal with First Light, and we're going to be figuring out a way to get all of our mentors and mentees outfitted and completely rigged up. And
I want to be a mentor.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's awesome. If you can get First Light behind you, that's great.
We'd love
and they live for it, don't they? They live for the hunting. That is.
Yeah, they're a great company. I think the 10-year goal, we haven't really looked that far into the future, but 10 years, we'd like to be in Mexico, Canada, and potentially other countries who have had some interest in our programming and what we're doing, because, like you said, the UK needs it. And
100%.
We've had.
I'm sure there's people of colour in the UK who want to get into it and probably are struggling because of their, race, religion, whatever, ethnicity, and I'm sure that if someone opened that door, they would be probably stampeded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd love to see. We'd love to see some brown faces and tweet.
yeah, definitely. There's some god awful tweet out there. You can try it.
Yeah,
I've seen some like Rupert the Bear and all sorts.
Yeah. Man, that's something that's very uniquely British. That I one day I'd love to throw one on and go for like a pheasant hunt, or.
You'll see a pheasant shoot out here is completely different to EU, because yours is all walked up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we do walked up days, but we do driven as well. So you can stand under them and they come over you instead. And and it's funny where I come from. My dad works for the Royals, and we had some Americans come over shooting, and I remember it. I wasn't very old. My good God, it was different. So we had them sort of walking in the line, and it was a case of, before they could even get, the shotgun was up in the shoulder, there was like straight off the hip, and it's like, oh my God, everyone on the floor fearing for their lives. It was great.
They probably didn't take a hunter safety course.
No, definitely not. They were there to get amongst it. That's what they were there to do. God.
Yeah.
But no, if you definitely need to come to the UK. You have to let me know if you come over. I'll get you in some pheasants.
Would love to. And you guys, you say you don't run dogs anymore? Or is that typically for like
that's a very weird subject. So the simple way to describe it is, you can use in England, you can use 2 dogs to flush a mammal or birds to guns, or you can use a pack to a bird of prey. I think. Yeah, there's not much else in between, and that's the way they're the sort of loopholes we've got. And it's hard. I mean, I worked for a foxhound pack for a little while, and I used to fly the golden eagle for them. And the idea was the dogs come in, flush it out, I fly the bird and catch it. Theory works well, principle not so much. I had some awesome fun, awesome fun. But the laws make it hard, and even the police don't know the laws or understand it quite right. I mean, I've been in trouble for doing things that I was doing legally. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, no, this is the law. And there's me and stood there telling the police officer what the law is. And yeah, so it's a bit hard work is how I describe that. It's not illegal, it is illegal, it's all weird.
Yeah, the regulations here are messed up too, where you can drive, I mean, an hour north of us is another state, and each state has their different nuanced laws, and it's up for people who travel around and are moving from state to state. One of the biggest barriers to them is just not understanding the new laws, and but that's a barrier for, I mean, everybody trying to understand them, because they change every year, and that's why we also believe that the mandated hunter safety course is great, because usually if you do it within the state you're going to, they teach you the nuanced laws, and they even what you hold, because there's like laws for what you can kill, what you can hold, and what you can travel with or whatever. Even that sounds to me like a bloody minefield. You could be lawful and end up in trouble without pure accident. I mean, you've got to be unlucky, I admit, but someone's going to be unlucky. Yeah. I mean, the laws they're there for a reason. They're there to make sure that no one's taking advantage of the system. But at the same time, they're hard to navigate, and you got to figure out how to do that. But if you want to come and check out one of our events, we'd love to have you.
Oh man, I would if I get over there. I mean, I've had the invite to Alabama. I've had an invite over to Texas with coyotes. If I can get out there, I will definitely look you up. Yeah, I'd love to see it, and I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, it would be amazing, especially if just as an experience. Like I'm not going to be hunting at the vast majority of these events.
Yeah,
and it's just, for me, it's seeing like the joy that comes out of people when they've been successful. I did my first mentored hunt. It wasn't really mentored. It was just one of my buddies from Montenegro wanted to go hunting, and his whole family hunted in Montenegro, and he hadn't hunted in the last 4 years since he was at the university with me. And I was like, oh, I can take you out on a turkey hunt. And he's like a 7 foot tall, big man, and he turned.
You can't hide 7 foot, can you?
No. And he turned into a little baby, like not a baby, but he just turned into a little kid, just full of joy when he got his first turkey. And at that moment, I was like, wow, this is almost better than getting my own turkey. And
I mean, I'm like that. I would rather take somebody to go shoot some rabbits and see their joy than I would do it myself. I've got no interest in shooting anymore. I have. It's a lie. My podcast has brought it all back out of me. But I want to do it because I want to go different places now and see different things. Whereas, if you wanted to come and shoot, a muntjac or, Chinese water deer, I'd kill myself to get you that shooting and to get you that stalk and to do it, because to see that joy is 100% better than anything else. Oh,
it brings me back to when I was on my first hunts and experiencing my first success, and so it makes it all worth it. And I was going to say that if you come to the East Coast, the good thing about the East Coast is that we are inundated with white-tailed deer. Okay. There are more white-tailed deer now than there were when Columbus arrived.
Really?
So, yeah, the urbanization, they started moving into these urban areas where they aren't hunted, and they've just proliferated, and so people, there's like this new trend of hunters on the East Coast getting these small little leases where it's like an acre or two tract where there's a house in the middle, and they have like a little strip around the house where they can hunt, and they sit up in the trees, and when the deer come onto the properties, they're able to get them with archery equipment. And
Now, I heard something about this. Are they on the East Coast? Are they a bit more twitchy? There's
yes.
somewhere now. It might have been like the Joe Rogan podcast or something I was listening to, and they were talking about going somewhere and stalking whitetail, and like they're like superhuman, like literally just like off this planet, like sense you before you're there, and like proper twitchy.
That's the axis deer. So that's
Okay.
They've got those in Texas, and then they also have them in Hawaii.
Okay.
And that's also my bucket list. So
Yeah.
for my birthday this year, I'm planning on going out. Actually next year, so 2022. Hopefully, COVID will be resided at that point, and everybody will be back.
Hopefully.
But hopefully, at that point, we can fly over to Hawaii, and I can get on an axis deer. But
yeah,
I mean, they evolved with tigers, so they're just really, really
proper twitchy.
Yeah, just keen to get out of there.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to say thank you very much and then stop recording. So thank you so much for doing it, mate, again. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I look forward to having you out one day.
Yeah, definitely. That's coming. That's happening.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
So that was Hunters of Colour. Just one episode. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I was recorded out in Scotland, and I was up in Scotland, outside in the sunshine. There was no better day for that. If you think that I should look at doing something similar to what they're doing in the UK, and you want to help, or you're interested, or anything like that, then feel free to get in touch either through the comments on YouTube or my email. It's all out there. You can find it. Instagram, message me. I'll get back to you. Until next time, catch you later.
You've been listening to the Outdoor Man Podcast. We're glad you're here. We'd love to connect with you on social media. Find us on Twitter at Podcast Outdoor, on Instagram, Outdoor_Man_podcast, on Facebook, Outdoor Man Podcast, and you can even reach us by email, dan@outdoorman.uk. Let us know your outdoor questions, and be sure to tag us when you're outside living your best life. Until next time, be the example.